A little while ago, I made a video about 10 items which are basically noob traps and won't net you a lot of value for your hard-earned GP. In this video, we're going to be doing the exact opposite. Today, we're going to be taking a look at 10 items which have incredible value for their GP investment. Now, before we get started, I'm not saying that all the items on this list are cheap per se. Some of them get pretty pricey, but I own every one of these items and can vouch for their incredible value in combat. Starting off our list, we have the Rune Pouch. This item is a seriously massive upgrade I think every account should have. The Rune Pouch allows an account to store up to 3 of any rune together in a single inventory slot. With the recent release of the Tombs of Amascut, it can even be upgraded to hold 4 different types of runes. This is absolutely massive for UIMs, but also has a ton of utility for mains and irons as well. There are plenty of ways to acquire it, including spending 750 Slayer points, obtaining it through Last Man Standing, or by simply buying a Rune Pouch note on the Grand Exchange. Because of its availability on the GE, the Rune Pouch is worth roughly 2.7 million GP at the time of this video, and it's well worth the cost. Considering the fact that we don't have summoning or beasts of burden in Old School RuneScape, inventory spots are extraordinarily valuable, and anything that lets you save up to 3 or 4 inventory spots for 2.7 mil is a steal in my book. The next item is the Abyssal Whip. This is honestly one of the most classic items Old School RuneScape has to offer. If the sound of an Abyssal Whip cracking on a Bloodfeld's ass doesn't bring you right back to your childhood, well, then I'm sorry, I don't know what to say, but you missed out. For the cheap price of just 1.1 mil, you can buy yourself a solid, non-degradable slash weapon that is great for general purpose Slayer and AFK melee combat training. The whip hits hard, reliably, can be wielded with one hand, and doesn't degrade or require charges. What more can you ask for? It's a direct upgrade to the Dragon Scimitar and is dropped by Abyssal Demons, which require 85 Slayer to kill. The only downside to this weapon is that it doesn't have a dedicated strength training option, which means strength XP rates can be quite slow with the whip. Other options like the Dragon Scimitar, Abyssal Dagger, Abyssal Bludgeon can fill this niche quite well, so it's definitely not the end of the world. The next item on our list is the Trident of the Seas. The Trident is a rare drop from Cave Krakens and the Kraken boss. The Trident is an all-around great mage upgrade for all low to mid-level accounts. It helps to bridge the gap between the Ibans and Sanguinesti staffs by providing a base max hit of 20 with no upgrades and 77 magic, and a max hit of 44 with max mage. The Trident is an awesome upgrade for the cheap price of literally 46k. This price is a bit misleading though, since the Trident does need to be charged to use its built-in spell. Luckily, charges only cost 230 GP per cast at the time of this recording, which is really reasonable for the amount of damage that the Trident dishes out. In fact, I would look at the charging aspect of the Trident as a pro. A fully charged Trident only costs around 600k and has the benefit of letting you cast magic combat spells without needing runes or a rune pouch in your inventory, thus saving inventory space for food, potions, or gear. The Trident can also be upgraded with a magic FANG from Zulrah. This provides a nice boost to the Trident's magical accuracy, max hit, and has a chance to envenom your opponent, making the Trident a must-have magic weapon for mid and late game bossing. The next great value item on our list is the Dragon Hunter Lance. This is such a versatile tool, and for only 39 mil, it's a real bargain. I think I bought my Lance for over 60 mil, and I would do it again as well. Its price comes from the fact that it's made from 2 rare drops, a Hydra's Claw being 1 in 1k from the Alchemical Hydra requiring 95 Slayer, and the Zamorakian Hasta, which is an upgraded form of the spear counterpart dropped from Krill to Sarath in the God Wars dungeon. The Lance has a 20% accuracy and damage boost against draconic creatures like dragons, wyverns, and the Great Olm from the Chambers of Xeric. You can easily make your money back by AFKing rune or adamant dragons with the Lance, and just this year, fight the KBD efficiently, or even take it to Chambers and roll the Twisted Bowed Lottery. So its price is really great for its utility. Unfortunately, the Lance's price has declined dramatically, not because of its lack of utility, but because of another substitute item that's made its way into the RuneScape economy. I'm talking about the OSMUMTEN'S FANG. This thing is honestly one of the first weapons I would start to grind for after a whip and trident. The Fang is one of the most common drops from the Tombs of Amascut and is an accessible and soloable raid for most mid to high level players. This thing has been talked about a lot in other videos, and for good reason. It boasts some incredible accuracy against high defense monsters by rolling your accuracy check twice against a monster's defense on every attack, and really shows how important accuracy can be in a fight. It does have a 5-tick attack speed, so against low-level Slayer mobs, it is outclassed by other weapons. However, it's a great and powerful utility against a wide variety of high defense monsters like Bandos, the Corporeal Beast, Metallic Dragons, Melee Necks, and of course within the Tombs of Amascut itself. The FANG is currently going for around 40 mil and is honestly an incredible price for a weapon that is so versatile. It's not best in slot at a ton of bosses, but it comes damn near close with a staggering number of instances where the best in slot weapon is between 400 mil and 1.2 billion GP. Now, this next item may not feel like great value for your money, but I'm telling you, there is no better upgrade for your range setup than the Dexterous Prayer Scroll. The Dex Scroll is a reward from the Chambers of Xeric, and once read, unlocks the Rigor Prayer. Rigor boosts range attack by 20%, range strength by 23%, and defense by 25%. This is an absolutely massive and permanent boost to your account for only 31 mil. There is no other ranged item in the game that you can buy for 30 mil that will increase your DPS as much as Rigor. The great thing about this prayer is that it's extremely effective at literally every boss or monster that you would use range at, which is a lot of them. Unlike an item which can be used at some bosses but is rendered ineffective at others, Rigor can be unlocked once and used everywhere forever and will provide a massive DPS upgrade on any boss. Take for example the Webweaver Bow. It's fantastic against wilderness bosses, but falls a little flat when used elsewhere, right? Rigor works everywhere. Unlocking Rigor is much more expensive than unlocking Augury because Augury doesn't actually provide a magic damage boost, while Rigor does for its respective combat style. Damage is usually preferred over accuracy in most situations because killing a boss quickly means that they do less damage to you. An NPC does 0 DPS if it's dead, right? The next items offer some great value for all 3 combat styles. I'm talking about Zenyte jewelry. Each piece of Zenyte is crafted from an uncut onyx and a Zenyte shard dropped by demonic gorillas after completing Monkey Madness 2. Zenyte jewelry provides some really powerful bonuses to their respective combat styles, and unlike the Amulet of Fury, which is well-rounded for all 3 combat styles, Zenyte focuses on amplifying the bonuses of one combat style in particular per piece of jewelry. The Amulet of Suffering provides a nice ranged strength upgrade, while the Torture provides an increased melee offensive bonuses in lieu of the Fury's defensive bonuses. The Tormented Bracelet gives a juicy 5% magic damage bonus, and the Ring of Suffering has some awesome defensive bonuses along with a chargeable recoil effect, which is great for Zulra's 1 HP Snakelings and general bossing. For roughly 12.5 mil each, Zenyte jewelry can be a real boost in DPS for most accounts, especially since 12 mil is a fairly achievable goal after getting into some God Wars bossing and the Tombs of Amascut. Of course, the order in which you buy the Zenytes is up for debate and depends on what you plan to do. But my general recommendation, and take this with a grain of salt, is the Suffering, the Anguish, the Torture, and the Tormented Bracelet in that order. Our next item is an Iron's worst nightmare, the Bow of FAERDHINEN in Crystal Armor. This was a fairly recent addition to the game, and after the nerf of the Blowpipe, Jagex released a new bow which complemented the damage and accuracy boosts of Crystal Armor. The Bow of FAERDHINEN actually has the highest ranged accuracy of any weapon in the game, even beating out the Twisted Bow, which is why it's currently going for 104 mil. It's definitely not cheap, but it is certainly worth the high price tag, especially coupled with Crystal Armor. The Bofa really shines in places where the bosses have high defense and can oftentimes be a much cheaper substitute for the Twisted Bow at places like Zamorak, Saradonaman, the Inferno, Fight Caves, Chambers of Xeric, and the Tombs of Amascut. The seed for the bow is a rare drop from the Gauntlet and its corrupted counterpart, which is partially why it's so expensive. The Gauntlet is a challenging piece of content that tests not only your mental fortitude and endurance, but also skills like prayer switching, movement, eating, and task prioritization. If you're interested in learning the Gauntlet or just struggling with the Hunlith fight in general, I've spent my fair share of time there and have made a couple videos on the subject, so check them out. The 8th item on our list is the Toxic Blowpipe. Despite the fact that it was nerfed a while ago, the Blowpipe is still a really valuable weapon to have in your arsenal. Its 2-tick attack speed on rapid is really essential at bosses like the Nilocus Room in the Theater of Blood, the Inferno Waves, low defense Slayer mobs, the Boulders at Baba, Akka's range phase, God Wars minions, and honestly too many monsters and situations to account for. I end up bringing and using the Blowpipe at just about every combat encounter I have. It's dirt cheap at 3.1 mil, and with Amethyst darts, you can really dish out some serious damage with this weapon. It's not really going to be best in slot at many bosses after the nerf, but it is just a great all-around utility weapon for gunning down low defense enemies quickly or dealing with punishing mechanics like sleepwalkers in the nightmare fight. Although it does get expensive to use the blowpipe because of the darts and scales, the special attack does help to provide a ton of value with its healing special effect. It comes in handy especially paired with a spec restoration item like the Lightbearer. Next, we have Blessed D'hide. This armor is oftentimes overlooked in favor of Armadyl or Masori, but it shouldn't be. Blessed D'hide provides some great magical defense, range accuracy, and a beautiful prayer bonus. It's really cheap compared to other ranged armor, sitting between 300 and 600k per piece, depending on which ones you buy, and I tend to mix and match between Zamorak, Saradomin, Zeros, and Armadyl so that you can get even protection when getting kill count in the God Wars dungeon. Blessed D'hide armor is a rare drop from hard clue caskets, so it's unfortunately not particularly easy to farm. However, you can buy it from the Grand Exchange. It is a worthwhile investment that can lead you into late game, and you'll actually notice a lot of high level players will actually sell their bank for a twisted bow and then keep the Blessed D'hide armor because it gives some great bonuses for dirt cheap. I'd say it gets you 95% of the benefits of Armadyl and around 70% of the benefits of Masori for about 2% of the cost. Now that's a great value. Now, of course, we've saved our best for last. The final item, which has an enormous benefit for its cost, is none other than the Occult Amulet. This thing is downright amazing. For just 550k, you can get a best in slot mage amulet that gives an absolutely insane 10% magic damage bonus. For comparison, a full set of Ancestral currently costs 340 mil and gives a 6% magic damage bonus. And a fortified Elidinus ward, which is worth 142 mil, gives a 5% magic damage bonus. You can get damn near close to 482 mil worth of magic damage for just 550k. If that doesn't scream great value, then I don't know what does. One of the reasons this piece of gear is so cheap is just because of the massive supply of occult amulets in the game. The amulet is a fairly rare drop from the thermonuclear smoke devil and smoke devils in general, but when there are so many people training Slayer on these monsters and there are no sinks for this item, the supply just grows out of control. As such, demand falls and the price drops as well. We see the same thing happen to the Abyssal Whip, which is why it's barely 1 mil at the time of this recording. The only reason it's not even lower is due to the Kraken Tentacle, which forms a basic item sink for whips. Well, that's all I have for the top 10 items, which are great value for your money. I hope you learned something new or interesting, and if you ever like to see me in action, check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/runewraith_. So I stream regularly throughout the week and weekends, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps my channel grow. Thank you, and have a great day.